shits, but
It's a woo motherfucker. Looks like we in here. We out
yeah,
here.
dog.
We're in here and also out here simultaneously. We're
Um,
like Schrodinger's podcast, where if you look in the box, the cast is there. And even if you don't think it's there, it's always there because we're in your fucking minds.
It's the Goonie box.
Know what I'm saying? Isn't that a hell of an intro?
I mean, it's a half mask, half no mask intro.
Sometimes you can make half-mast work. You know what I'm saying? Half-mast and some lube goes a long way.
I'm saying masters of the mask.
I already like the direction of this episode right out the gate.
We love it because there is none. Welcome back to the madness.
Deep in the wilds of East. You could say not the most east, but an eastern part of East Williamsburg.
Yeah, I'm saying the inner skirts of East Williamsburg.
The guts.
Yeah, I'm saying before you cross Myrtle and hit what is or what used to be known as Bushwick.
Exactly, the guts of Bushwick. You could say the esophagus of Brooklyn. DeKalb Avenue. Is where everything goes down.
Shout out to the Chinese restaurants.
Yeah, come back. We miss you.
We missed you, baby.
We missed you. We hey, these other dudes have been wilding, but
we know.
We love y'all. We
I missed
love
the
y'all.
H4.
We love y'all and need y'all.
I missed the H4.
We missed the H4. Real niggas know about the H4. Anyway, I should introduce myself right now, or both of us, right?
No, because we've been here before.
Our devoted fan base.
we've been here now.
Hello, devoted fan base, and people who may have stumbled in from other podcasts. If the algorithm was so nice to bless us. Also, got to get P-Man to signal boost us. Now that he's getting his episodes up, we got to somehow figure out how to.
Shout out to Cooperstown.
Exactly. Shout out to Cooperstown's finest.
Shout out to Buffalo. Shout out to Toronto. All that. The upper New York regions.
The man of Platanos. We'll drop the link in the description. So you can check out what he does and what he's about.
Yes.
Know what I'm saying?
Shout out to Brother Menu who engineered some of this shit. He's not here right now. He's probably somewhere on a one train, I would say.
That quickly? You think he already got there that quick? He's still not on the L train?
I'm trying to estimate it. I'm just trying to have the benefit of the doubt. Hopefully he's not fucking trying to stone cold stun a fucking bum right now.
or vice versa.
That's way more than a stunner, man.
So, anyway, I am Liquid Snake. I was going to say the one and only, but I guess the one and only Liquid Snake exists in the Metal Gear games.
I mean, that's virtual reality right there, son.
But
you're here in the flesh.
At any rate, I'm Liquid Snake, sans accent. I'm sure, dudes are eventually going to come at me for that. Like, why don't you sound like Liquid Snake? Because, listen.
Stop being corny.
I'm Liquid Snake in the hand of a dude from New York.
Which is really
trying to evade the feds after all the shit I've pulled on America, all these various crimes against humanity. You know what I'm saying?
Real swordfish.
And to my right, are we gonna use that real name? We're gonna use that real name, that new name, that new hotness you just came up with at the beginning of the episode.
I don't even remember what that was, so I ain't gonna hold you. But yeah, Brother P still, the one who is real. From those who I know from the West Coast, I'm the Lightskin Bandit. Other name, Showtime.
That's what it was. His brother Showtime. So.
Yeah. Well, I've been Showtime since 1987. So, yeah, that's it's neither here nor there, son. But we here, we there. We've been there. We'll be there in the future, and we back to the future, man.
And as I said, mere minutes ago, we're in here and out here, coming back at y'all because we're still in the apocalypse, as you recall from our last episode.
No zombies yet, though.
No zombies yet, thank God. I would talk more about it, but then YouTube Daddy might get mad or whatever if we can't even say it by name or whatever. Not that it matters. We're not getting money on this.
The high power.
The higher power. No, that was Vince McMahon, right?
That's Vince McMahon. I mean, if
Vince McMahon at least beat God. He beat the higher power. He beat God. or he was. It was me, Austin. It was me all along, right? That was.
No, he really did fight the light that he claimed
fought
was God, but that was luckily I wasn't watching the wrestling back then.
Which you knew Vince McMahon was waiting for. Like ever since he had the book, man, he was waiting to wrestle God.
I mean, I'm quite sure he does that every day when he wakes up.
The true match is when he goes.
You got the 3-man weave with the Lord and the devil.
Yeah, nah. Vince is gonna see what's up when time's up. We're gonna see if God is cool with all that.
Oh, yeah,
that's
gonna be the real Iron Man match right there, boy.
There's a question to ask the comments. Does God have the WWE network? Does God subscribe? Or you think Owen is in heaven? Like, nah. You need to front on these cats.
Now Owen gonna be the referee now.
You know these niggas ain't no good.
That's when you gonna come down. You really gonna come down from the scaffold with the level jacket and the bat.
That would be the best heel turn in wrestling ever.
No, it's not a heel turn. Just for Vince.
It's just some truth.
Just for him.
So I don't think it's gonna be a wrestling episode. We just
by no means.
We do.
Pardon me.
We talk about wrestling. I think this one is gonna match the complexion of our last episode, which was 2 months ago.
Way back.
A month and a half ago.
It was definitely way before the first episode of Last Dance. I want to say it was probably sometime in March.
Did we talk about it? I knew we had talked about it on our lost tapes.
That was even before they had said that they was even going to bring the shit out earlier, because it was supposed to come out in June after the finals.
So it's definitely been a while, because we recorded basically when shit started popping off. We're well into this thing now, into the state of things that go on right now. I feel like that pig in Cuphead, with the eye patch, was like, welcome, when you buy weapons or whatever.
State of emergency, man.
That's what I feel right now. Welcome to the end.
Will Smith, baby, enemy of the state, son.
That was a fantastic movie. That doesn't get enough credit, I gotta say.
Shout out to Will Smith and Jordan Lucas with his Will Smith.
Word. We've covered many things in this first paragraph or two of episode here, I see.
Once again, welcome back to the madness, folks.
By the way, I probably should say this, because people who might remember us as Sophisticated Ignorance, the 2 or 3 of our loyal fans,
several.
may have noticed that several of our fans may have noticed that we changed our name to the Perfect Plex podcast.
That was a
Triple P.
That was a minor technicality, but
there was six or so sophisticated ignorances. Clearly, it was such a really,
they had their own flavors. They weren't us.
Shout out to the other sophisticated ignorances. Some of y'all is cool. I wasn't. I was only mad that I didn't come up with it first. Know what I'm saying?
It's all about timing, man.
I'm not mad.
Shout out to them for that, man.
Shout out to y'all. Get y'all money. I hope y'all not getting demonetized, because a lot of y'all are brown. So, I want to see these brown podcasters getting this money.
Hopefully, Kanye isn't is casting a real dark cloud over y'all.
Nah. They can never stop the power of the internet. That's why they keep trying to control it. YouTube, Google, everybody.
As you should, man. Internet runs the world, man.
It sure does. So, at any rate, we are back because we hadn't recorded something in a long time, and my colleague here referenced The Last Dance and thought we should talk about it, and I guess numerous other things, and I guess check in with y'all about what's been going on with us. And honestly, not much. Just kind of been sheltering in place and hoping that the zombies don't rise from the earth, or aliens don't invade, or or they keep opening they keep opening shit in Egypt or whatever, and exploring shit and unlocking curses upon the planet or something.
And plus, I guess this would be a real interesting time to kind of bring things back, because things seem to be loosening up a little bit, kind of, maybe.
Sort of.
We're speaking on a night within the realm where we've had 3 UFC events already? Yeah, actually 3 pretty entertaining UFC events, by the way.
In the span of a week and a half.
Yeah, a week and a couple of days, and the no fan thing is kind of weird, but not really. So, and the reality is, bro, like we're gonna have to face a whole new norm whenever things kind of clear up, and that's where like all the loosening up, especially with the sports thing, kind of causes some unease. Because is it rushed? Is it not? I mean, it was entertaining, but do we really need it? Do we don't? Like, look, I would love to have football in September, but not if people are still dying, bro.
Yeah, not if they say that the medical experts say that it's not good to have so many people so close together.
Yeah, no, you can't. All right, you know what? In all fairness, and I've seen this probably for like the last 2 days, and I could talk about this if we have a NFL portion of this cast. Probably will. They're definitely coming up with a new form of face masks. Whereas, I mean, there's no prototypes and no actual visuals of it, but I think it's probably just gonna kind of be like the regular NFL mask, just kind of with like a what's that the what's the the official face mask?
Well, the N95, whatever.
Yeah, the N95, yeah, like the N95, and it may be something like some kind of mesh cover over that, but
so they're just gonna modify it so that they have a.
I mean, that's what I think.
Like a respirator over it, basically.
I don't know, because again, like they just kind of been talking about it for like the last couple of days, so there's no actual like visuals or no blueprints to it, but.
I get it. They're trying to just throw something at the wall.
Yeah,
You had
speaking, trying to get their money, man.
You want to talk about sports shit? You had Daryl Morey, or not Daryl Morey. I'm sorry. His boss, the owner of the Rockets, over here, like cuddling up with Trump, trying to talk about trying to get money back into business. Like, these dudes just want to get business running again, and I understand. I want to see people working again. I want to see people seeing their bread. But it's kind of.
Oh yeah, it's horrible.
It's a little crazy. Like they're gonna rush us back into work, and then many more will die because many more will get sick because they aren't the one taking the risk, really.
No, they're not.
And, at least not health wise. I guess monetarily they are, but I don't know. I on one hand I could be mad at them, but on the other it's easy to be mad at rich dudes, who are just kind of like go back to work, just go back to work.
Those MLB,
and they're not. Again, they're not. Elon Musk can talk about how I'll be there on the line in my factory or whatever with my workers, and you can arrest me, but that's not going to be most people, and a lot more people are going to suffer, and they're just going to be like, well, we didn't know. They're going to just deny. It's like, oh, we didn't force anybody to come back to work. We just
our
know.
Bad, folks. 1-800 our bad.
1-800 our bad. That should be. I gotta find that. If I can find that screen cap.
We'll talk about that after this.
But
yeah, no.
That's right, folks. Editing, and recording on the fly.
Oh yes. We do it all here in this. I don't even know what the square foot amount is, but deep in the mean streets of East Williamsburg, we get that work done, folks.
That's right. Deep in the hallowed halls of my small 2-bedroom apartment, in which I have a roommate in one of those bedrooms. So realistically, I'm in one of those bedrooms.
Yeah, it's like 1/3 of the crib, but
hey,
that's
man.
neither here nor there, man. Yeah, some people ain't got shit. Man.
Exactly. I was gonna say I'm happy to have at least this. I am grateful. I'm grateful also not to be dying of hideous pandemic juice.
I mean, like it's at this point, I guess we all kind of either know somebody who knows somebody, or God forbid, it's somebody who was in your fam. But we've all come across at least someone we know of who's passed away from this pandemic, and and I feel for y'all. All praise go out to you, and just keep yourself safe, man. That's all you can do at this point, and just try to, try to adjust. I know we are, and we'll definitely have a new norm if and when all this clears up, and that's just life, man. You gotta roll with the punches. You gotta roll with the old high Tyson punches that seem to be coming very soon.
The return of the God. Let's talk about that for a second. How do you feel about that?
That's why I brought it up. Well, that's why I brought it up, because I ain't just want to keep talking. But Mike Tyson, like, by his own fault and him being around the wrong people, really had like half of his career taken from him.
True.
So, am I surprised he's trying to do this? I'm not shocked, but I'm like, all right, Mike, you kind of doing all right, bro. But again, that thirst, especially like, it's more of him being like a boxing connoisseur and a boxing, historian, and him understanding like, damn, I really fucked my career up, where I could have. All right, well, to all the boxing fans, it is what it is. But the reality is, if he'd have fought Holyfield that first time in, what was that, 91, he probably would have beat him. Because Holyfield really beat him in 9-6 because you had grizzled, I done been through shit outside of the ring Holyfield. But, Holyfield back then, as good as he was. And shout out to that man for being, quite honestly, probably one of the lighter heavyweights to like truly dominate. Even though it was kind of like that Brock Lesnar shit where he had a weaker old division. Because by the time like dudes like Riddick Bowe and all these dudes came out, those kind of taller, much quicker but strong.
Yeah, but he still
held it down,
and he still defied convention because he wasn't supposed to be able to succeed in that weight class, and
but
made
again,
it happen.
By the time he fought Tyson, that's all he needed to do was just to beat Tyson, because niggas thought he was going to die in that fight turn. So, but Holyfield and Tyson again, part 3. I won't pay for it, but
that might be fun.
Whatever. If they just put it up to watch, that's something to get drunk and high to.
Yeah, that might be fun. But I personally am glad because I listened to Hot Boxing with Mike Tyson. Shout out to Mike Tyson and Hot Boxing, which I very much enjoy.
Tyson.
Thank you for doing a podcast and getting fucking smacked while doing so. You are my inspiration. It makes me feel less bad about getting smacked and recording. At any rate, from his podcast, besides all the cool things he says about, having, done the toad, which is, I guess, that DMT and shit, and having all these experiences and going through all these revelations that he's had.
The revelations.
Even though he is much older, I think he is in much better shape to really be a better fighter because his mindset is different. If you listen to that, like he approaches, he's like, he will often say, I guess this is where I put a clip of him or whatever, maybe real quick. He often talks about who he was or who that guy was, and he looks back upon like that Mike Tyson.
No. He calls that character Iron Mike.
Yeah, he's like, who was that?
Iron
He's like,
Mike.
why was that guy? I can't believe I was that guy. And I look back on him and I'm scared because I know that that's me, but it's not me.
And look, just seeing him talk, bro, you can see like that he's nowhere near that anymore. So like, and you know what? I have to look at that in the realm of both life and inside of the ring, because it's like, yeah, bro, you're Mike Tyson, bro. Like, cool, but I don't want to say you lost or he lost what that was that made him Iron Mike, but at the same time, he had to get away from it.
Yeah, which I think will make him a lot, age notwithstanding, ring rust notwithstanding.
That should make him a better boxer.
I think he will be a much better because he kept fighting because he likes it.
Like I said, like he's a connoisseur.
Besides being a student of the sport,
he was born to be a boxer.
Again, my interpretation of a lot of those podcasts and stuff is that he loved boxing. He just didn't like the hurting of the beat. Like I guess he did, but it's like it was more of a like this is my passion, this boxing shit. Yeah, he talks about when he was a teen, and like Customato was like showing him all these movies and teaching him all this shit.
All in black and white. Yeah.
And he's like, yo, that's all I did. He's like, I didn't have no girlfriends.
Nothing,
I wasn't
bro.
really in the street that's like
all
that.
He did,
all I did was eat, sleep, and breathe boxing. And
that's it.
So clearly that's like his lady love in there somewhere. Because if he, in other episodes, you can kind of hear where he's like, oh, I'm done with it. And I was glad to be done with it. Just kind of like I needed to, like you said, he needed that space away from the world of it. But he didn't stop training though. He's still in great shape. We've seen all these videos, videos.
Those videos are recent. Like
and just even videos of we were talking about that the other day of I forget which fighter that was, which UFC fighter that was, but like Mike was just telling him and his mans like about how to circle and like how to get in close and what you should do.
And that was like the illest shit they ever heard.
Exactly.
Son.
He showed them, and again,
still just because
I'm no athlete, but like he just showed this quick demonstration. He didn't really hit him or anything. He's like, oh, you just do this, and he like hit him with a body blow, and then he circled to the right side of this fighter, and he showed how quickly, just in the demonstration, how he could hit him with the right hook.
Yeah, niggas got scared off
just
that.
Coming in and here's us like, oh shit, like
Mike still got it.
Mike just showed me some real fundamental shit. Like it wasn't about the fact that he's Mike Tyson. It was about the fact that his mind for the game.
It's just so fluent, son.
He understands like these are the things that win you fights and make you a better fighter and all these things. Yeah. So I would love for him to have some B-Hop level of resurgence or whatever.
That's even older than B-Hop.
Exactly, but again, the heavyweight division is an interesting ocean. So it depends on how they do it.
I mean, if he like dominates like 3 to 4 straight fights, then you could start talking about possibly putting him in like.
I'm happy we could do a fight. Know what I'm saying?
All they talking about is just charity right now.
A fight versus a can, or a fight versus someone who's always wanted to say, yo, I fought Mike.
Right now,
that would be beautiful.
Right now,
you know what I'm saying? Like you could find somebody to do that.
They're talking about kind of doing something with him and Holyfield, just because
that's his man.
That and Holyfield needs the bread, son.
Yeah, and that's his man's in him. So.
Yeah. So
it makes sense. And I like I said, not a minute ago, I'd like to see it. That's the Monique gift. I would like to see it.
Yeah. I mean, I don't want to pay to see that.
No, I'm not paying. But
I'm saying, if y'all want to, niggas, they want to do it somewhere in the Brownsville Park, we can do that. You know what I'm saying?
That would make it even cooler. So I might pay then, like for that. See these dudes rumbling on Eastern Parkway or some shit. On Winthrop or something, somewhere like that.
Good Belmont.
Exactly. So yeah, that again, I'm glad that he has been able to reconnect with that side of himself, because again, he had expressed like his kind of like misgivings about who he used to be and what he had to do and stuff like that, and how it made him feel to just take people apart in the ring and the training and all these things, and of course, the power of weed clearly helped him with that, man. And also
chronic,
and DMT and hallucinogens, but and also that world travel. I don't want to just attribute it all to drugs and money and whatever. Like he was able to travel the world and meet all types of people, and
him just being Mike Tyson
experiences, and him to again take something from those experiences. It would be easy for him to just say, oh yeah, I've been here and there, and I met this person and that person, and it was whatever, and I do that because I'm rich, or I do that because I can. And it's like, no, you see the lessons that he took from these people, like, and tried to really like learn and shape himself with them. And
yeah, man,
that's a big reason why I fuck with his podcast. Besides, he's got great guests. It's like I'm working for him. Go watch that. Go watch that though.
Watch that shit, son. But nah, bro, you can't you can't screw up $300 million and not have that affect you.
screw up the money. Like go,
but that was the start. So.
Sure, but you screwed up all that money. Then you went to prison. I mean, because even though you lost the bag, let's say hypothetically somehow he walks on those charges or whatever, he gets away with it because of his fame and his power and his money. Like that would have been a different Mike Tyson, albeit a more mentally tortured one. Now that we know how he felt about fighting, but
he lost that $300 million from taxes. That had nothing to do with
no. What I'm saying is that he could have possibly at least fought himself out that hole instead of being in jail.
He tried to. No, again, this is
he tried to when he came out. But I'm saying,
because look, he lost all his licenses, so the only place he could fight was I think Memphis.
Oh fuck.
So again, this was after fucking. This is way after Lennox Lewis. This was last time he really had an ill fight was maybe 04, 05. And like I said, that was in Memphis somewhere. And the only reason I know about that is my mom's watched that shit. Nah, she was getting hyped because he started looking like the old Mike, but then he got twerked out. So that's. I mean, even before he had the cast, I like where Brother Mike was going, and I kind of wish he would just came up with another stand-up special. That would
have been cool.
Especially
I loved his show. Mike Tyson Mysteries.
Yeah. Especially if he was high, that'd have been incredible. But
shout out to my ex because that was a thing we did enjoy. Mike Tyson Mysteries.
The shout out to the exes will be rare on these podcasts, but
most certainly. But I'll give her. But I'll give her that one. That show is hilarious.
You know what I'm saying. I mean, stand by for the snake pit for those folks.
Oh my God,
that's where the exes will really, really come out.
No, man, I'll just try to figure out how to unearth those lost tapes that we made, so I don't have to tell the story again.
I'm saying they always need a refresher, man. You know what I'm saying? You gotta give the team a refresher.
Oh Lord.
Well, not right now. Now.
No, I'm not. No, that's not happening right now. But
at some point when shit isn't as depressing,
we need a different mood. We need different
mood props, different flavor of liquor too.
That too, a different shade, a different color of liquor. No, I would prefer to save that for when we have a female guest on the show to offer her feminine wisdom.
Yeah, stand by
for matters of the heart and relationships, because as men, apparently we're dead inside. So
we like to hit you out with a real balanced, real well balanced breakfast.
Yeah, we want to be inclusive, man. We want everyone on the show. We want everybody's opinion.
I'm saying
even if they're wrong.
Yeah, we need all the connections we can get, folks. We in the hood right now.
I guess we always will be.
All right, so getting back to The Last Dance.
Yes, so main topic. So that was really the main reason we convened this meeting here, this secret meeting of the Midnight Society.
That may be another nickname.
Nah, that was from Are You Afraid of the Dark? They'll
yeah,
sue.
I know.
They'll sue. Yeah. Niggas will sue, so they're not with it. I'm sure there's another Midnight Society. That'll be like so sophisticated ignorance. Someone will have it.
Yeah, we secret society.
Some other nerd who watched Are You Afraid of the Dark is definitely all over that one. But
they'll shit all over the comments. But thank you for that anyway.
No worries. We could just say fuck it. We're in the Midnight Society anyway. What are they gonna do? What are they gonna do?
Not a damn thing.
They're gonna take us down for being the Midnight Society.
They're
trying to make some lame ass Are You Afraid of the Dark reboot, and that shit was trash. Isn't that a thing that happened?
I think that's really why they're mad. So we have nothing to do with that.
Let me know in the comments if that Are You Afraid of the Dark reboot happened or is trash.
I heard about it.
I heard about it. I didn't care enough. I don't know if it happened or not. But no, we're here to talk about The Last Dance. To preface this, because I talked about this on an episode that we didn't release, because it all feels like one long day, just like times feel like one long day to me. So
that's how it is in the steak pit.
We talked about this in another episode where we were looking forward to, for the uninitiated or people who somehow, I guess, stumbled onto this expecting to hear about snakes, because we say snake pit a lot, I guess, in this.
Or, if you thought it was a full-fledged wrestling cast, because it is the perfect plex.
That's true. That's very true.
We plex the perfect.
So, The Last Dance is the documentary, not just about Michael Jordan and his career and all that. It's a nice little combo of that, but also the retrospective of his last season in the league, all the politics surrounding that, him, Scottie Pippen, Phil Jackson, the ownership of the Chicago Bulls, which, historically keeps fucking up because, they was feeling themselves too much after that double three-peat.
They have not been right since 98.
Yeah, they're still a little traumatized they're still a little drunk off those championships.
Just a little bit.
Just a touch. But the whole series documents like that time and that culture in a way that had never been documented before, except by, I guess, Chicago beat writers, like your man Michael Wilbon. Shout out.
Yeah, it was a couple dudes. Jay Donde.
The people were in the scene.
It was a couple of people. I mean, especially Amar Rashad, who was one of MJ's mans.
And he was the NBA dude, man.
He was though. I mean,
look,
guy. Your man Ahmad used to have his main mans, but apparently MJ was his main man.
Well, he shows up a lot.
Trying to tell you, son. Like he had a lot of main mans, but your man Jordan was apparently the mainest of the mains.
So at any rate, documentary covers everything, the highs and lows of these famous Bulls careers. Michael Jordan making it onto the team, struggling to get the team to win, his father being killed.
It spins
the double nickel game.
It spins for really about altogether about 20 years. Keep it 100.
And I love it because I guess we're just gonna delve into critiques here. I love how it was very cinematic and it jumped back and forth. Between 98, which is like the crux of the documentary, which is The Last Dance, as Phil Jackson called it, because
he knew he was getting
he knew he was leaving Chicago. Scottie Pippen was very disgruntled.
That nigga's in L.A.
Michael Jordan was burnt out from carrying this team on his fucking back.
Burnt out, but still, if Phil would have been like, "Yo, I'll stay for one more year."
Well, what I learned about Jordan is that. And I was never, to give you some context, I was never really a fan of Jordan like that because he kept beating, my beloved Pacers and seeing him beat the Knicks and seeing him beat teams.
Notice he said beloved Pacers.
Teams
that dude from the Bronx, okay?
Teams that I really liked, you know what I mean?
You'd have been better off rooting for the Nets, man.
Nah, they was...
No disrespect to the Nets back then. You know what I'm saying? They were cool.
You expect me to bust the Keith Van Horn jersey or fucking...
Sam Cassell?
Fucking...
Like Sam Cassell? Come on, you from the Bronx? That's a Jada. Whatever.
Nah.
Okay, whatever.
I'm a bust.
He rooted for Reggie, folks.
I'm gonna bust the Drazen before I get anything.
He rooted for Reggie, folks. Now Reggie and the Dream, which is a weird combination, but whatever.
Yo, if they were on the same team, y'all, that would be disgusting. But
no.
Anyway,
Dream would have smacked the shit out of Reggie. But go ahead.
That's what I'm saying. Reggie might have been more of a killer, like he should have been.
No, Reggie was a killer. He just,
Nah.
You know what I'm saying? As long as I'm around, you always be second best. See?
Nah. To borrow your catchphrase, nah.
Come on, there's a lot of nanas, but
nah.
I'm saying.
And Reggie's my guy, but
man, Reginald, son.
He was just on the wrong squad.
I don't know. I think he was though, son. He was on the right squad, son.
Nah.
There's the only other squad I could see Reggie on was probably like the Clippers, son. Maybe the Bucks.
It's your man Michael Reds.
Yeah, baby. Yeah. See, Reggie could have been like a real early mentor for Brother Red. Son.
Oh my God.
That may be another cast, folks. We don't know.
Michael Red cast. Michael Red story.
That may just have to be like a what if segment.
What if Michael
Red?
Whatever.
Like, what if Pippen would have stayed with the Sonics, and what if Jordan would have somehow ended on the Knicks?
What if that's how they always do the 30-30s? What if I told you
what if
the miraculous story of someone who they thought was washed?
What if I told you? I'm about to tell you some ill shit.
What if I told you Michael Red got busy in the right situation?
What if I told you This weed is loud.
That's out of all those statements, that's probably the only true one because Michael Redd getting busy. I don't know, man.
Shout out to OJ Mayo, son,
Juice
and Larry Sanders,
and Danny Granger, even though he wasn't on the Bucks.
Sooner or later, folks, we will have a cast with the all injured squad and the all obscure squad.
Oh man, that's gonna take some research.
Yeah, so that may be one of our most riveting casts.
To give you the spoiler, there will be a lot of mentions of Tracy McGrady
and possibly Agent Zero, if you know who that is. Maybe
potentially.
Definitely a good amount of JR too, son.
Well, here's another question for the comments before we really talk about The Last Dance some more. There's a lot of love for JR. Like, niggas like to clown him, but dudes like JR.
I don't know. It's 50-50. It's 50-50.
He got more love than some people do. Like, honestly.
You know what he did 6 years ago? No, excuse me, 7 years ago when he got the 6 Man of the Year.
The point is, niggas was banging with your man.
Now, folks, if you haven't noticed our main flick, if you cannot see the pain in LeBron's eyes, then you may not want to listen to the all obscure team. But just look at the pain, and that's probably one of the few times I've ever felt bad for LeBron because at that point he finally understood the pain that we as New York fans felt. Son.
Listen, all I'm saying, as I've said many times before to you and other people, and again, I'm by far not the biggest J.R. Smith fan or anything like that. But
yeah, I didn't think you were.
If he really got his game together, he would have been one of the best two guards ever.
A multiple-time All-Star instead of just being a 6 Man of the Year.
His potential.
We can discuss that all you want, but
his potential wasn't. And again, you can say that about anybody, really, right? But
no.
But his game,
just the talent alone, bro.
It wasn't because what he does is settle for the step back jumper, chuck a lot of threes, do JR things, whatever. But
even beyond that, bro, he could have been like a legitimate, like just all the way around player, bro. Because when he wanted to play D, I won't say he could lock niggas down, but he could definitely like play sufficient defense.
The point is, he could have been akin to.
If he didn't stick to them JR shots and.
He could have been akin to D-Wade, not as good as,
bro,
but akin to, like, you know what I'm saying?
If he had Lou Williams game, son, exactly. Lou Williams,
he'd still be playing right now.
Sweet, shout out to Sweet Lou, son.
He'd still be playing right now. Instead of just chilling somewhere, probably,
If we talk about real shit,
yacked up or whatever. But
Houston wowed out by getting rid of him, but whatever. Yeah,
that would have been perfect. Honestly, that super gunner team.
Again, son, one of your teams. They choose to.
I don't recognize them anymore. I gotta tell you, but
all right. So he's officially.
I'm not saying I'm not. I didn't say I give up on it. I just don't.
That's close to denouncing.
I don't
squad,
know who
son.
I see anymore. Is all I'm saying. I don't know who that team is anymore. And again, you know how I feel about Antony. That's Antony, folks.
Here's the
not
problem,
D'Antoni.
You gotta look at it, son. The Rockets have always been that way.
Nah.
Even with the Dream, son.
Nah.
You know what it is? They just lucked out in getting the right. Like mindsets and veterans to put around the Dream to get them 2 chips.
I agree with that, but no, their approach to defense was akin to because everyone always says, "Oh, the Knicks, right? We're this tough team, and they did this and they did that."
Yeah.
And if it weren't for some people say not having a more consistent second option or a third option, not having a point guard who was more of a playmaker, there's a bunch of excuses made right for them. The point is that they were a contending team.
The franchise. In
a time where they had no right to contend and also weren't really playing. The Heat could also be like teams. There's a lot of these unorthodox squads who did what they did because they had the identity they had.
True indeed.
They just put their will on you. For whatever reason. Utah fucks you up because Utah is strong at home and Jerry Sloan gets busy. Run TMC destroys you because there weren't a lot of teams that were just chucking threes and running you fucking into the ground. There's a lot of
either that or you had ill center.
There's a lot of examples, you know what I'm saying, and these teams represent that is what I'm saying. So when it comes to the Rockets, at least the Rockets that I've been following throughout my lifetime, they always represented like team play, defense, getting the highest percentage shot, and going through your stars. which again represents fundamental basketball to me, right? Especially if you want to win that chip, especially that half court defense. Like if you master that, then even if you get icy, you will fluster the other team because they can't score on you.
All day.
And the Rockets have supremely gone away from that. I'll give Antony credit in that his team defense is good enough that the Rockets swarm you in a way that their defense, kind of repels you. But overall, they're looking to get back so they can shoot more threes on you, like for the most part.
I mean, which is why
getting Covington was huge. You know what I mean? And getting certain plays was huge. But like those weren't the answer. The answer is to be a fist behind James Harden before he gets. And I don't want this to happen. I'm knocking on my table here. But my concern is that as good as he and Russ are playing together, because they are, I'm concerned that one or both of them is going to get some injury because they're running hard and trying to win so hard, and then the team falls apart.
The best version of the team they had, bro. The best version of the team they had was the team they had before they traded for Chris Paul. So,
yeah, well, they didn't believe that. They didn't believe in that.
Because that was the best version of that. Because you had James Harden and you had fucking Eric Gordon and you had Lou Williams, bro, coming off the bench.
And
with my boy Sneaky Trev, and fuck, I guess
and that's where that divergence happened. That's what I'm saying, and we talk about this a lot off the air when we're friends and talking about sports and shit. Lord knows this isn't really that much more professional, but we talk about this a lot with the Kevin McHale vehicle, and the Rockets trying to find themselves in the modern NBA. Which I understand because you can play all the solid defense you want, but if you can't score in any real way, it's going to be a problem. You're not going to win a championship. So I get that they wanted to score more points. I get that they wanted more firepower. I get that they wanted all these things.
Yes, sir.
And went to the guy whose talent is offense. I'll give Mike that all day, especially when it comes to threes because that's what the league is about now. But
yeah, but he like that. Again, that 15 years ago was cool. Now,
well, people point to the Warriors, right? But the reason why that 2015, 2016 team,
their stars shot threes, but their team wasn't predicated off of that.
They all shot threes. The reason why their shit got off those,
because look, Leandro, he was not a 3-point shooter. No. Fucking Iguodala wasn't a 3-point shooter.
So I'm coming to that.
They played team ball.
The threat of it was such.
Or just team D.
They played team ball too because they were having psychic basketball, like the way they were passing and stuff like that. Yeah. That's what was taking teams apart. It just seemed like they were shooting mad threes, but there was always a shooter open or there was always a high percentage shot.
Yes, sir.
And the threat of having two guys who can shoot 30 feet and back easily.
That stretches everything out.
That fucks everything up. So that's what that was. Like, they just shot threes. They're a jump shooting team. It's like, they did what you're supposed to do, which is have stiff defense, play as a team.
Yes, sir.
What I just described that the Rockets used to do, that used to be their culture.
And you let your two stars get busy.
And you go through your stars and hope that a third and a fourth guy are feeling it enough to take off behind them, which is
exactly how the Bulls won.
Exactly how the Warriors won, which is exactly how, the best teams in basketball history.
That was my transition to the Last Dance, bro, in case you didn't know. So, getting back to the Last Dance.
So, going back to the Last Dance, it was great to see, again, I don't want to say as a Bulls hater. I didn't hate the team. I just hated that they were just beating my teams all the time.
Quite decisive, especially in '98.
And in crucial moments, like, you know what I'm saying? Like, you would have, Jordan would be in the ground, like, and that's what I love about this documentary. It captured all these moments where teams really had Mike, or they really had the Bulls, or whatever it was, and this nigga just found the will to win, or found the play make to win. And so it was cool to see that side of things. It was cool, from a person who wasn't a fan of the Bulls, from someone who just kind of felt heartbreaking, seeing how well they played. And now that I can appreciate what Michael Jordan was doing and what the rest of that team was doing, as a basketball fan, as someone who can understand it a lot better, it was great to have that perspective.
And just seeing...
It made me feel for Jordan. As a year, he all the
turmoil, bro. Like
This man will tell you I've said fuck Jordan so many times. Like, so many
I grew
times.
up around niggas saying fuck Jordan.
And,
like that game, what was that,
thing,
game 6, son? Like I said, I remember being at like a bullshit cookout, watching that and looking at people, or this one specific dude, cheering for fucking Indiana, son. And I'm like, first of all, bro, we in Brooklyn, son. What are you doing, son? But that's how much people hated Jordan, bro. And I'm a Knicks fan, but at the same time, I can never really hate Jordan because, it is what it is. But plus, them days, like, shit, like, especially watching basketball, it was just fun, man. It was, because it was like, all right, who can and who may and who can get the closest to beating this man. And I saw, like, those stats that they put during the commercials. It was like Jordan, deadass, eliminated 20 Hall of Famers, son, throughout the playoffs. Obviously, P. Ewing was the most, but
as we talked about, many of them in the 50 greatest players of all time.
Oh yes. Some of them was his, dream team teammates.
Many of his dream team colleagues, man.
But I mean, and especially when I get in discussions with people about Jordan, I always come back to that, and I had never known that it was like that amount. I knew he had that ass come across mad Hall of Famers, but he eliminated 20 of them things.
20 of the best players to play the game, not just play the game in the 90s, play the game.
Some of whom were in this damn documentaries.
Yeah, which I was kind of surprised about, and I don't want to feel like I'm monopolizing about how I felt about it, but like, so many of these guys were Jordan nemesis, especially Barkley. Not that I'm surprised, like, Barkley didn't hate him or anything, but like, I was shocked that Barkley was even in it, because as we were joking about when we watched the episode, this dude still wake up in cold sweats sometimes. Yeah. On some like, damn, like I almost had him, son. Like, yeah. Like, we almost had him. We really did. And we just slipped up a little. We slipped up just a little bit. Just a little bit.
Couldn't score those, like a lot of these teams. Couldn't score those clutch buckets in the right time, man.
You know what I'm saying? Like, this documentary was a lot, boring. Like, what this put into perspective for me was like, yeah, like, Jordan dominated and Jordan went hamp or whatever, but like all these clutch moments that he had were all close and key go-ahead bucket situations. Yeah. And that's what, like, touched me, because it's like, oh, that's incredible, actually, because most players, I don't want to say most players, but a lot of players shy away from that moment and shy away from the weight of that responsibility. And he relished that. Like, he lived for that. Kobe, RIP, lived to that. Various other players who aren't good as those other two players, lived to that. Yeah. And I've always respected that, because when I played basketball personally, I didn't like taking the last shot. I didn't want that pressure. I liked passing to set up the last shot. Yeah. Because then if they make it, great. Then I made the assist, and high fives all around. We won. And if they don't make it, then I was like, see, they're bums because they bricked it.
No, you gotta want it, man. That's the truth. You definitely gotta want it.
It's a special moment to, like, find out who you are, and there's so many things to this. But I'm gonna give it to. I guess I'm gonna call you Brother Showtime because that shit sounds cool. But I'm gonna give it to you because I'm not the only one who watched it, who watched this documentary, and we watched most of them together. So there you have it.
And there you have it. Yeah, man. Brother J.O., man.
Especially since you have more of a closeness than I did, to Jordan. Because you say your pops was, like, a fan of his.
Well, I guess I can give that a little tidbit. Yeah, I mean, I can honestly say, much like Hulk Hogan, when it came to, like, wrestling, I knew who Hulk Hogan was, and I knew wrestling through him. So basketball, it was Jordan. And when I came into my own, really knowing what it was and understanding the game, like again, just of the times, unfortunately was and still am a Knicks fan. I guess it makes sense. That's why the season ended, but whatever. But yeah, like again, that's a weird dynamic because my father was also a Knicks fan, but he's the first one that ever really put me on to like Jordan, not Jordan in the league, but he dead ass like had like old ass pictures of this nigga dunking on people like in college with a cast on, and that's first of all when I knew this nigga Jordan was mad gangster. I'm like, oh shit, that's you dunking on somebody with a cast on. I ain't never seen nothing like that. But more than anything, I guess sentimental shit. Definitely remember watching Game 6 with my pops and watching the last shot. You know what I'm saying? And again, being an 11-year-old watching that, not really even truly understanding the real fundamentals or even truly being educated within the game itself, just, playing in the park and shit. Him taking that shot, I knew it was going in, man. Look.
Me too. I felt it.
Just that still shot of him taking that last shot.
The way he floated, like it just the confidence in which he took that, like and yeah, we make fun of like he pushed off and whatever, like
that wasn't
whatever you make of that.
It wasn't a push off.
The point is he beat this nigga to the shot and shot it.
Yeah. Exactly.
Just the fluidity at which he just rose up and hit that. You know what I'm saying?
And again, he had to hit that shot, so it was like you knew it was going in.
It wasn't just I'm just putting like I said a couple sentences before. I'm just putting the nail in on you on a 10-point lead or a 15-point lead. Like this is for the games and like because if we lose, we're not gonna win the next game. Because Utah had them. Utah had these niggas so many times.
You know what? And by just by like attrition, maybe, but
yeah, and they wanted it so bad.
I have a hard time believing that.
If Jordan's not in the game and nothing against Pippen, nothing against the rest of that team, I don't think they. First of all, there's no food poisoning / food game. There's none of that. But even if they go to Game 7, like the Jazz they were cooking, man. Like even as weird as their team was, like they were feeling it.
That's the
Especially
thing,
Karl Malone was feeling it. Like you made the perfect point. Like you notice Karl isn't in the documentary. John Stockton, the God, is in the documentary, but not Karl Malone.
Brother Karl has other situations going on, so
I understand, but I don't think I think that was part of it, but I think part of it was also he's known as a proud dude. At least
No, I mean, plus you already saw him.
I feel like it would have been hard for him to hop on that thing and talk about.
Like again, you saw him like waiting for these niggas.
Cooked by Jordan, son.
Like the fact that he gave him the pound after they came out from the locker room, and I think that may have been the same year. I don't know if it was 9-7, 9-8.
No, he did it back-to-back years. Remember, or what was it?
That's what I'm saying. So when he was waiting for them, then he gave him the pound.
He waited for them and gave him the
pound. 9-8, he went on the bus.
The final shot, he came to the back and gave him another pound.
Yeah, he went on the bus and gave these niggas a pound.
On the bus though.
So I mean, look, if I'm him, after all that, I probably wouldn't want to be in that, especially after being, on the Dream Team, film and whatnot. I don't know, man. It's hard because, again, the greatest crime in sports is really not being able to see this dude Jordan in the Game 7 of the finals.
Yeah.
And I don't know, man. That'd have been the closest thing to seeing Goku make a spirit bomb, in life.
Honestly,
now if they
I
won,
don't know. I don't think all those killer Game 6s that he had was like that because
because he wasn't trying to go to Game 7. But again,
those are almost all those situations. Cleveland, the Suns, whatever. Like the teams that really could give them some smoke. They ended them in 6 because they didn't want to see them in that next game because they would have lost.
Well, with Cleveland, he always eliminated them niggas at home in 5.
Yes.
In their crib.
But the point is that they talk about those prolific endings, you know what I'm saying? They didn't want to give them the chance to get back in. Mark Price, they were trying to get embarrassed. Like you could tell.
The only Game 7s they ever went to were, I think, 90 against these dudes, the Pistons. And then maybe once or twice against once against the Knicks and then once against, I think, the Pacers.
Yeah.
So the only time they ever went Game 7s was on the East.
Yeah. Well, that's what I'm saying. Like that heartbreak of constantly having this guy who was on the rise, especially stifle your playoff hopes because this dude made a whole conference seem inferior. You're talking about teams that were wild goods, and they just people don't give them that respect.
You know what,
we were talking about this too. We were talking about the Wilkins led Atlanta team. You're talking about the Pacers. You're talking about
both led by Hall of Famers.
You're talking about the Hornets. You're talking about the Heat. You're talking about
the Knicks. The Knicks.
But at least they get recognition as a nemesis of the Bulls.
No, they get recognition as the main nemesis.
You know
but
what I'm saying? But it's not.
It wasn't a rivalry because they didn't beat
when
these
people
dudes.
Talk about teams of the '90s, it's the Bulls and then the West teams, and then maybe the Knicks. The Knicks get their love.
Oh no, I mean, well, look, if you go back to what's that show on?
They ain't talking about LJ Hornets. You know what I'm saying? They ain't talking about.
Well, first of all, like LJ wasn't even on the Hornets when he. Well, no, he wasn't.
You get what I'm trying to say. They ain't talking about the starter jacket Hornets.
And in all respect, and all, like honestly speaking, their real rival probably was the Pacers, bro. Like in like the full entirety, like the Knicks got in the way of that, but that was just because the Knicks kind of would beat dudes up. So.
But those teams would just always way to meet them in the Eastern Conference.
And look, all these teams kind of were mirror images of the same team that was built to beat Jordan. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
That's what the Knicks was. That's what the Pacers were. That's why Atlanta got Mutombo, but they never was going to go anywhere any fucking way. So the Hornets, I don't know what they was doing. So.
I think they were trying to be a very speedy, like athletic. They're kind of a team that's kind of ahead of its time, shooting a lot.
Either that, no, it was either that or they were trying to kind of rebuild the Pistons Houston situation.
Yeah,
because I remember Kenny Smith talking about that. He was like, "Yo, even though we had the dream, we kind of wanted to build what we saw the Pistons have, which was 3 ill guards.
Yeah, who can shoot."
Or could shoot or just, do different things. But we had 3 legitimate guards that could just come in and do what they do. But you see, that shifted to, like, having, like, 3 ill big men. Now we in the realm of having, like, 3 ill, like, forwards. You know what I'm saying? That real hybrid type of shit. But you can thank LeBron and KD for that.
Yep.
But, yeah, folks,
So yes, this documentary is the shit.
It was, and in all honesty,
all the things they covered, all the nuance they covered, the weight on Jordan to be Jordan.
I was not surprised by anything Jordan said, son.
No, I love that a guy who is known for being very private for the most part, even though he is very forward with how he thinks and his opinions, like. He shared a lot. He shared, he's like, I didn't even want to like tell a lot of this stuff or release this footage because, or him crying at Kobe's funeral. You know what I'm saying? Because they'll make another meme of me or whatever. Like, you could tell he doesn't like being clowned. He's a sensitive dude, and it was weird to see Jordan as sensitive because he has this image of being a fucking asshole, son. So like,
but that's on the court, son.
Yeah, but again, for me, even a guy who is a fan of basketball, I was just all I cared about was that.
Yeah.
And you're talking about a dude who had his father get killed and really horrible things happened to him, and he sacrificed so much to be Michael Jordan. That's what this really like illuminated for me. Like it helped me kind of look past my I don't want to say enmity for Jordan because again, I didn't hate Jordan. I just could not really like be a fan of his because of the fandom I had for my teams.
Yeah. And
again, the perception of him as this fucking super competitive dick. So, as someone who was bullied as a kid, I hated people like that. I hated, people who didn't have empathy, it seemed like. And that's how MJ seemed to come across for me. And I get it, he was the best in the world, like you're going to try to enjoy that as much as possible and fucking do what you do. Like, people clown MJ, this just occurs to me. Like, people clowned MJ way more for being like MJ and for being the best and doing what he did than Larry Bird. And Larry Bird was a dude who talked all the shit in the world. Yeah. There are other players who talk plenty shit, and they didn't get the highlight for that. Niggas just know them to do so, but, like, they don't shit on Larry for that. You know what I'm saying? And I myself, I will put myself out there. I've shit on Jordan for being Jordan, and didn't hold Larry to the same standard, and didn't hold Reggie Miller, you know, one of my players, like, who was a notorious shit talker, to that same standard. You know, like, so this made me feel like I was a little unfair to Jordan. I knew, like, he was going through pressure. Of course, you being the number one at anything in the world, especially when you are, like, holding down the banner for your entire sport, like, the pressure of what that could be, and, like, how that could take a toll on you, and how you wish you had more privacy, and how your life is not really yours anymore, and, you know, the list goes on. Like, that
niggas accusing you of niggas accusing you of, like, you being the reason your father died.
Yeah, I myself has said that, because of course my wild imagination is gonna jump to, yo, this nigga got a gambling problem. Maybe the mob wasn't cool with it or whatever. I don't know. You know what I mean? And then you find out that wasn't really it at all. You're like, damn. You feel bad for, you know, saying things like that, because, again, like, his pops wasn't anyone terrible. No. You know what I mean? For the most part. He might have been a fucking dick to his kids a little bit, but, like, he wasn't a bad guy.
That was Mike's rock, man.
He wasn't Joe Jackson. You know what I'm saying?
He ain't beat his kids in the face. Like, you know what I'm saying? But nah, he was Mike's rock, and you know what I'm saying? That's why, like, you know,
and he supported his son, and you know what I mean? He was right by his side, and I can definitely this was very touching for me, and I didn't expect it to be, because I thought, oh, they're just gonna slurp Jordan, you know, a lot for this.
Oh no, there was a lot of
and there was definitely a lot of slurp, and, you know, rightfully so. It's expected, but
you got the right stories, man.
But it went deeper than that. Again, it made me get to see Michael Jordan the guy, because social media and the internet weren't non-existent basically in these times. You couldn't see that back then. All I'm seeing is Michael Jordan, like, the asshole, like, superstar basketball player.
Honestly speaking, you know, bro, if they had, like, whatever we have now back then, you probably would have had footage of this nigga Rodman trying to sneak out of the stadium, son, after he went to Nitro.
Yeah, or
like
getting
the night before that, son.
Or getting into all sorts of wild situations with Carmen Electra.
Oh yeah, you definitely seen him in Vegas.
You know,
because
if the Gram existed or anything like that, like,
people would have been, like, filming him in Vegas
everywhere, because, you know, people still knew that he was in Vegas in those times, and they were still tracking him in those times. So it was crazy, and again, I really enjoyed it. I really enjoyed the story they told. It was well worth the wait. It was very heartbreaking to see Kobe in these interviews. I don't mean to laugh, but it was nice too, because,
I mean,
again,
it was fucked up, but you already knew it. I mean, because even in, like, the trailers and all that, you saw him in the shit, but
it was just cool to see him finally, even though people knew this, it was cool to see him say, like, on, like, for the record.
Yeah, really, like, discuss their relationship.
And be like, yo, everything, he's like, it was a foolish debate to compare me and him, because my whole game, like, everything I wouldn't
get 5 chips without him.
Without him, like, I got everything from him, and so it was cool to see him silence that.
Meanwhile, LeBron is on the gram. I would have played lovely with J.O. Dream Team would have beat the Dream Team.
Bugging, son.
J-Kid would have worked fucking John Stockton.
Bugging. Wilding.
I don't think he really said that, but, you know.
But essentially, that was his insinuation. Wilding.
Nah, but I mean, the reality is, like,
wilding, son.
I remember when the Redeem Team came out, they had, like, the Redeem Team and the Dream Team, and, like, you know, whoever you want to pick, so be it. But, you know, the game is going to come down at some point to Kobe, MJ, or LeBron and MJ, son. You may get a little D-Wade and MJ, too, son. That may be your X factor. But
yeah, but you still have David fucking Robinson and, like, all these fucking niggas out there. Karl Malone.
You got the Admiral. You got P. Ewing against Chris
Bosh. I feel like the superstars nullify each other, and it comes down to those, like, I don't want to say.
It comes down to the point guards.
I don't want to say those second tier, because they're not second tier players, but like that, like the rest of that roster, those glue niggas are in that roster, like niggas like Chris Bosh.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying?
It comes down to Chris Bosh.
Because if Chris Bosh is cooking, it's gonna be hard to stop him. But, like,
if I'm not mistaken, I believe you had brother Dwight on that squad. So you had Dwight, you had Chris Bosh.
The point is that
you had Brother Mello. Okay.
I don't think it's like a murder. I just think the Dream Team is just much more balanced. Like the Redeem Team is much more alien, hybrid-y. You know what I'm saying?
It really it comes back to that discussion of what era are we playing and what rules are we using.
No, we're just using scrimmage rules because that's the happy medium. Because if you use the past rules, then the hybrid aliens are gonna get fucked up. And if you use the current rules, you can't really have a basketball game because you're gonna be calling fouls every other second.
And here's where the Dream Team fucked up by not getting Shaq. You know what I'm saying? The Shaq Daddy, the Shaqtus, the big
as opposed to your man Christian Laettner.
Yes. Or even fucking even Brother Zoe. No slights on Brother Laettner, but
well, he didn't even play. I could see if he played.
He played in the scrimmage games. You know what I'm saying? But he whatever. Scotty would have shut down Melo unless Melo got hot, but more times than not, I will put my money on Brother Scotty. When Jordan wanted to really get his shit off, they would just put Scotty on fucking Braun, but you would still had Brother the Mamba on Jordan. Now, that's a coin flip, right? But I guess more times than not, I guess I would take J.O. But again, it is hard to pick against fucking Jordan, son. But it's Jordan and P. Ewing finally, so I'm gonna have to take that combination, son.
Jordan P. Ewing
and Sir Charles,
Scott Pippen,
with Scott Pippen and fucking Magic with John Stockton.
Lord,
y'all niggas is crazy.
Again, the greatest basketball team ever assembled.
John Stockton would have twerked D. Will.
That has actually
he would have twerked. Yeah. I don't even know who the other. Chris Paul. Chris Paul would have shown up.
But it's still.
Actually, no. Chris Paul and John Stockton, they'll cancel each other.
They cancel each other. It'd be guard for guard, master versus master. So.
I mean, again, it depends. Because look, if the Redeem Team gets a hot D. Will, that is a fucking problem.
Or Carmelo.
Or hot Melo. But you know what? Jordan wouldn't be scared of that, son. He wouldn't. He'd be scared if like Dwight is hot, son.
Oh yeah. some muscle nigga who couldn't stop.
Or even Chris Bosh, because Chris Bosh really would be the X factor in that whole shit.
That's why I brought him up. The original alien, or one of the original aliens.
You know what I'm saying? Should have been the honorable mention for Brother T-Mac. Was he ever on one of the Olympic teams? He wasn't on that 04 team because he was probably injured.
Think so?
No, he wasn't. No, he was not. Shout out to T-Mac.
My guy. Team Isnac. But yeah, this documentary's the shit. If you haven't watched it, I
don't know where you've been for the last month and a half.
Oh man, I highly recommend it. Again, I want to repeat that I am not. Even after this, like I feel closer to Michael Jordan, which is cool. But I was not a fan of your guy, son. I never have been. But at any rate, this helped me, this helped me really empathize with him tremendously, and I liked that. I liked, I like that 30. This isn't. I guess this is a 30 for 30, maxi series type of thing. But I like how these 30 for 30s do that in the way that they bring me closer to these characters who I had a different preconceived notion about. Jordan, especially because of the havoc that he wreaked upon my childhood favorites, and I also enjoyed the other characters, like the security guard that he was playing quarters with, that he would make bets with all these people. I was hoping they would tell the story where he. What was that in the Dream Team story? The Dream Team story, he golfed Chuck Daly, right? And Chuck Daly beat him. Was it Chuck Daly that he beat? And he woke up like the early next morning to golf him. I'm pretty sure it's Chuck Daly. Because he beat Jordan in golf, and like he was there the next morning. Like, are you sure that wasn't a different golf game? Because this was when they were on the Dream Team tour. That he beat Chuck Daly or some coach. Some coach beat him. I'm saying beat Jordan in golf, and Jordan was there the next morning to play this nigga. And I think they had to play that day. And Jordan smoked this dude because it was fucking 5 or 6 in the morning where he came to get this nigga. Maybe it was either him or Chuck Daly because
yeah, that might have been Coach K or. Because, I mean, like, I remember hearing that story. Like I said, I remember hearing the Danny Ainge story, but
that came from that was the one in this one and in the last dance that they mentioned.
I mean, look, him and because that is one of the main things he talked about. Him and Chuck Daly definitely I think played golf damn near every day.
So it had to be Chuck Daly because
possibly
because that story sticks out so much in my head, like. Because he hated to lose, man. He was so competitive.
Yeah. I
mean, Chuck Daly smoked him, and he was like, "Nah, I gotta get that back." So
that was some of that Isaiah smoke too, man.
Oh yeah, for sure. But everyone apparently loved Chuck Daly, so
that's why he was the best coach at that time.
R.I.P. to Chuck Daly, the guy.
No, he was like even more than Phil. He was the best candidate for that job at that time.
For sure. Even over your man Lenny or Jerry Sloan?
Yes.
Or any other, I guess, coaches I can mention.
Neither one of them had high profile teams, son.
Word, that's true.
You know what I'm saying? So again, like you had to have somebody that could deal with stars. And even Charles Barkley said it. He was like, yo, Chuck Daly dealt with the bad boys. If you can deal with them assholes, you can deal with anybody, son.
Word up.
I mean, we can get into the whole discussion of which was part of the last dance of Isaiah not being on the dream team.
Well, it was cool to finally see that speculation basically aired out.
Yeah, in actual verbiage with people who were involved. And I mean, look, me personally, I would have, being that Chuck Daly was the coach, I would have put him on the team, and Chuck really would have had to be like, yo, listen, bro, like, I would say half of this team hates you, bro. You know what I'm saying? And that is because of what we've done. But I need you to kind of, you got to be the liaison, bro. Like, we can't win if niggas don't like you, son.
Yeah.
And that's really, people keep blaming Jordan, but the bad boys is why Isaiah was not on that fucking team, son. Them not giving niggas pounds at the end of that 91 series is why he was not on that team.
Yeah, as much as he tried to justify it.
You know what I'm
saying that the Celtics did it to them or whatever.
Like, again, Jordan was the scapegoat, but again, son, mad people was not fucking with Isaiah at that time.
I mean, but I like it that Jordan kept it 1,000, though.
No, he did, but he said, bro, like, and again, if you look at it in Jordan's eyes, all right, you asking me if Isaiah's on the team. You asking me to deal with this dude and his fucking coach? And you want me to really be here? No, come on, son. And not to mention, they already said, like, I forgot what reporter that was that said, like, yo, Jordan was already talking about retiring after that 91 season any damn way, son. So that might have had him retire, son, and you probably may not have had Jordan on the dream team if Isaiah's there, and the league could not afford that. Fuck Isaiah. And Rod Zorn, he basically said that without saying it. He was like, all right, like, Jordan was like, who's on the team? Not even being like, yo, is Isaiah on the team? He just asked him, like, yo, who's on the team? Just because I'm not just going to be there by myself. And Rod Zorn was like, the dude you think ain't going to be here. And he was like, well, I didn't ask you that.
Who's on
the team? And Isaiah just was still not on the team, son.
No, they knew better.
Yeah.
They talk about it all the time. They talked about it in the 30 for 30 about the Dream Team. They knew that Jordan was that dude, and they were not going to not have him on the team because they didn't want to get embarrassed.
Nor should you.
By
and look,
Russia or anybody, like any team like that.
I mean, morally, was it a bad move? Probably. Business-wise, it was not a bad
Definitely
move.
not.
commercially and like I said, you couldn't you already had Charles on the team, son. You had enough niggerdom on the team.
Well, let me put it to you this way. One of my favorite moments for all 7 of you that listen to this. Thank you, by the way, for listening to us and subscribing. Or I guess, what is it? Because subscribing, you pay money for it now, Thank you for subscribing. Whatever. Subscribe. Like, share, and subscribe. That's what I'm supposed to say, right? That's the lingo for this shit. Like, share, and subscribe to all the shit we talk. If you like the shit we talking.
Thank you.
Thank you. But John Stockton, who is a legendary point guard, was not recognized in the streets. And I don't think, even though Isaiah was a 2-time champion, I feel like it wouldn't have been much different because really niggas just knew the brash players, Michael Jordan, Charles Barkley. That's who they really cared about, yeah.
The players who had actual NBA height.
Yeah, but again, we're talking about the greatest basketball team assembled.
Indeed,
they had stars on this team. And,
Stockton and this dude Isaiah Thomas, they are shorter, so they do blend in better with crowds.
Even beyond that, it was just the look of them. It was just, I see why John Stockton just blended in because he wasn't in his uniform.
He's just a regular dude.
He's just a regular guy.
Truth be told, Isaiah probably would have been out there a little bit more glamorous with his shades and something on, possibly.
But I would still guess that it wouldn't be he wouldn't be recognized in the same way Chuck would be.
No.
I would say he'd be recognized because, again, talking about arguably the best point guard in the world because Magic is getting ready to be out the league at that point. So
yeah.
The best point guard in the world at that time.
Yeah.
So niggas, I think, recognized him, but not in the same way it was with Barkley or.
No. You wouldn't spot them just walking down the street.
Nah, like Stockton, going unrecognized.
Unrecognized.
It was cool to see him in this documentary, though.
Very,
very old John Stockton.
You don't see brother John, man.
This bridges into a question I asked you the other night, which was if you had to give a title to one of the victims of Jordan, who you giving it to?
Oh, the illest of them all. No, boy.
Or just who one you want, just who you think deserves it.
There's no one else but P. Ewing, son. Nobody else. Because you know why? He had to deal with this shit in college and the pros.
Talk to him.
You know what I'm saying? So, who else am I going to say? It ain't Reggie. It ain't Karl Malone.
Of course, you got shit on Reggie first.
All day. It ain't John Stockton, all right? It damn sure ain't Lonzo. You know what I'm saying? It ain't B.J. Armstrong because he got, 3 chips? Okay, it's maybe Craig Elo for a close second, son. Maybe, all right? It would have been Ron Harper if he would ever join the fucking Bulls. Definitely not Thunder Dan. No KJ. No Glove, because he definitely got a chip. Matter of fact, he has 2 chips.
Yeah, he's good. He got his redemption arc.
Definitely not Sean Kemp.
Damn. Poor Sean.
No poor Sean, son. No Vladdy. Okay. Who
Damn,
else?
you really going through the whole list.
Yeah, boy. No Mark Price. None of them, son.
Mark Price.
Like I said, who else?
Shout out to Mark Price.
No Antonio Davis. No, son.
Well, because you picked P. Ewing, which is really the best pick, honestly. I'm gonna give it to John Stockton because I was such a fan of his. Even though he played with a rapist, but
son, not even the Monstars, all right.
Damn. No, I give it to John because John Stockton played basketball the right way. He was the consummate teammate.
And you know why? Because in a alternate universe, John Stockton would have been John Paxson, son.
Yeah.
John Paxson, not even Steve Kerr. He'd have been John Paxson.
Or he would have just had one of them crispy MVP seasons and just carried that momentum into the chip. But
not with Jordan around. So.
Well, I've mentioned to you and perhaps earlier in this episode, which seems so long ago now. If the Jazz had a legitimate third option and a better center, they would have been good money because they're really kind of handing it to the Bulls there for a bit. Yeah, it's very back and forth, man. You know. They were hungry, man. They
just didn't have the cojones, man.
And so, you know, I always feel bad that John didn't, you know, Mr. Stockton, John Stockton, didn't win a title because he was such a good fucking basketball player, and especially as a point guard, which I feel like even though we're kind of back in the era of the guards a little bit, he doesn't get respect, man. I worry that niggas will really not remember how good he was because he wasn't super.
Bro, he will always be remembered just because of the tight ass shorts, man.
Sure, but
I'm saying,
I don't know. Like, isn't it kind of lame to just be remembered for the tight shorts and to be a nemesis of Jordan?
I say that in regards to like everybody that's of the euthanation, younger generations. But we who saw him and everybody that saw his game.
So is he our Pistol Pete at this point? Because I mean, again, that shit was well over 20 years ago.
Nah. His game was way too fundamental. Pistol had way too much style in his game.
Well, I mean in the sense that all the old heads I ever talked to about basketball, like who were around for like that ABA shit and like for all that shit, bring up Pistol Pete.
As well as they should.
It's always Pistol Pete or Oscar Robinson, or
as well as they should.
The people you expect to hear. Like,
I mean, the reality is, son, a lot of them dudes probably would be much more acclaimed if they had a 3-point line around them times, because
definitely
their numbers would look way crazier. Or shit, even if they counted blocks back when Wilt and Russell was getting crazy.
Yeah, before they changed the rules.
But you got to keep in mind, number one, the rim was 9 feet back then, and there was a lot of different shit. But when you keep shit in perspective, son, Hall of Famers are Hall of Famers for a reason, okay? Yeah. Jerry West would get busy in this fucking...
And definitely
in this time right now. Him, Big O, both of them would get crazy in this time. Shit, Wilt would get crazy in this time just because there's no real centers, son.
There's no real paint. No. I don't want to see there's no real paint players. They just don't use that skill set.
It's a different
they want you.
It's a different game.
They want you to shoot now, and ironically, they want you to shoot now. Whereas for years, especially in that '90s era, only guard shot, and maybe the occasional forward got busy. But like
you did, but it was definitely inside out. And in all reality, I mean, sports in general kind of has that look now, because football is all about the passing game and
it's back to the quarterback club.
It's like blitz just without the body slams and shit.
Nah, there's body slams.
I'm saying, but it's like,
the good leg drops.
And everything is predicated towards offense, which, I mean, I get, but we in 2020 now. 2 years ago we had a fucking Super Bowl that ended in a score of 13-3.
That game was popping.
And look, if you're, I mean, well, you have to be real football fans for that, because defensively it was a spectacular game, but there's no casual fans that wants to see that.
No, they want to see niggas air it out. I get it.
And that's funny too, cause like watching.
But then again, going back to that your example, even though modern sports is hinging upon offense and being flashy and scoring.
Yeah. Who
wins the chips? The niggas who play the best defense, the niggas who play the best team defense, the niggas who will play better the best together, the niggas who show up.
Whoever can play
who can ever put it together the soonest wins the chip.
You know what I'm saying? Look, shout out to brother Clyde, but whoever get those timely buckets, man. Play that D and get them timely buckets.
And so I argue that those timely buckets, or even the easy buckets, come from that not even that stifling D. It's just that defense that flusters your opponent enough for you to win.
I mean, it's that, or sometimes it's just really having somebody that can legitimately just get their own shot. Son.
Yeah, and again, defense will carry that, because if you know your man's behind you,
yeah,
can get you set up for that shot, you know, then
you
you're gonna feel more confident when you take that shot.
Yeah, you ain't got to worry about. Do you, baby?
And that adds again another wrinkle to the game because now they have to watch you, and then your other teams get off because you're passing to them. That's really why Clyde went bananas, because they're trying to stop him from scoring.
Yeah.
And it was just too late. They had picked them apart, and then he picked them apart.
Yeah.
That's what you're supposed to do. Shout out to Clyde. Driving and thriving. That's one of his ones, right? Driving and thriving. So.
Dishing and swishing. Bounding and astounding.
Scooping and hooping.
Scooping and hooping. I think he may be the originator of styling and profiling. I don't know.
I don't know.
I think Ric Flair stole that from him, but
we might have to look into that one.
That may be another 30 for 30 in itself, man.
Who owns the catchphrase?
But yeah, we definitely dishing and swishing, son. With you know what I'm saying, with a lot of cohesiveness, and I'm saying we don't have no neophytes, but you know, we still chilling.
So it's cool. I love that. I'm going to misquote it, even though a lot of dudes have quoted it already. He's just like, you know, Jordan's like, yo, people call me a tyrant and say I'm this bad guy or whatever. Yes. It's like, oh, you say that because you haven't won anything?
Yes.
It's like, damn. Like I felt that. Like, and again, I will reiterate that I've been one of those people who was just like, fuck Jordan. This nigga ruined niggas.
Yeah, but yeah, he was preaching.
You know.
He was preaching.
But I really felt that. I was like, damn, that's true. I haven't won. Like,
again, son.
Like, this nigga won 6 titles, like in like relatively short amount of time.
I'm saying we won't go back to the old adage of nice guys finish last, but aggressive dudes don't get shit, son. Or dudes that aren't aggressive don't get shit, son.
Or they hurt their cause.
Not even aggressive, assertive. If you're not even assertive, you won't get nothing.
No, well, I'll bring up an example. Joe Johnson, who by no means is a pushover, but
this is one of those those throwback picks that we have, folks.
Yeah. Well, you know, I always think about him a lot because the only thing they ever talked about with Joe, besides the fact that, you know, he's a very, very good basketball player and has a lot of sneakers, was how cool he was. And that's cool.
I mean, smooth Joe.
But he got paid a lot to be like the killer of the Hawks, you know what I'm saying? And later the Nets, which I would argue that on the Nets he kind of found that.
Towards the later end of that contract, he definitely did, man. All due respect.
Felt a little more motivation, you know. It was cool to see that. Because he's another one like JR. He could have been this killer fucking shooting guard. I don't know. I think he kind of burned.
I mean, a matchup nightmare, bro. But
I think he burned his years in Atlanta a little bit. But I don't blame him.
No, then
I don't blame him for taking the bag. Do you? Not at all.
I don't blame him for that. But he was kind of feeling himself coming from. Like, he had already kind of established himself in Phoenix, and then he was feeling himself by the time he got to Atlanta.
I remember. That's why he went. It's just that, again, I've argued in the past that he should have stayed in Phoenix. They needed him. But, whatevs. He thought he wanted to be the man.
Like you just said, he wanted the bag, son.
And so, he wanted to be the man is really what it was. The bag was secondary.
And he was never, ever the man. So
that's the point I was coming to, because, again, I'm not gonna disparage anybody for taking that bag that he got, which was fat.
But you took the bag to go somewhere where Josh Smith was the man, son.
Yeah, and he had good years in Atlanta, but no, they were paying you to be like that dude, and like Josh Smith should have been the second option, you know. And
I would say Al, but
and then later,
depending on what year you're talking about.
Well, if we're going through his old span, then later fucking Paul, him and Al should have got busy, but you know they didn't know what they wanted to do, but that's a whole nother cast or story. We could talk about Atlanta whenever I've more properly researched.
Yeah.
Instead of just running off of.
We probably won't, but there will be references.
You know, yeah. We might go back to that for you Atlanta Hawks fans, you Joe Johnson fans. But the point is the reason why I bring up Joe Johnson is because his thing was always he's cool Joe. He's cool Joe. He's cool Joe. And I was waiting for Joe Johnson to go to like Super Saiyan 2 and be on a contender and just cook dudes because he is so good, which he did in Utah to some degree, but not to the extent that I would have wanted or appreciated. But
no.
But he got busy is the point, which proves how good he was and is, or I should say was,
because he figured it out, man.
Because he's in the big three now, and no one wanted to sign him, but which is unfortunate because he's clearly still got it. But I don't know. I don't know him personally. You know what I'm saying? I don't know. Just seeing him as on the outside, like he didn't ever have that killer instinct, or he would always do it when you got him mad. Like especially when he was on the Nets. Like if you got him upset, he would murder you. But like.
So in other words, it was just part of the.
There was something. There's just something like about him that
it was part of the melodrama.
That or there's a number of arguments you can make. Again, my argument is had he stayed on Phoenix, he would have been a killer because he would have been right next to Steve Nash, and you could have moved Raja Bell and all these dudes who were taking up his starting minutes to the bench, and they would have been much better defensively, coming off the bench, still being able to shoot threes. But they did what they did, and hindsight is 20/20, of course. So whatever. But he would have been a weapon for them. Him and Shawn Marion and Steve Nash would have been the sexy shit. And Amari, that would have been the crazy offense, man. 4 points to pass it to, that's like beyond the triangle. Especially given how good a passer Amari was. And how good a shooter, how many shooters and how good they were around the team. Anyway, Joe Johnson could have been great. And, he had a good career. I hope he comes back. I hope a contender scoops him when we have basketball again.
That's not happening.
I just don't think it will. We'll just get to see him on Big Three cook other out of shape. I don't want to say he's out of I didn't want to say he's out of shape because he's mad good.
They canceled that season, so.
No, I know. I'm saying when next year. Next year.
No.
If Ice Cube wants to put the money up for that.
He won't.
So, fingers crossed is how I feel. Hey, cool, because we did it for Melo, right? We did it in that episode. We did it for Melo, and they signed him. So maybe Joe will get his chance to be in the sun. He deserves it. He's a nice guy.
He does, but again, unfortunately, that's two different leagues. Not because of talent, but because of name.
So I went down this whole rabbit hole about Joe Johnson. Obviously, and I don't want to say nice guys are bad or being nice is bad or any of that.
No. It seems like the assholes prevail.
But it seems like the assholes have this like other gear, and they're able to impose their will on the game.
Yes.
And I'm not saying only assholes can do this. It just seems to be in the modern game in the last 15 years or so. These are the dudes who, when they turn it up, they turn it up. You know what I mean? And they win.
That's just having it's not the asshole effect. It's just really having that killer instinct, man. You know what I'm saying?
Well, I feel like there's a difference because I feel like some of those players are dicks and then have that killer instinct on top of that.
And then you have some who aren't dicks, but still
have that killer. Like
Klay Thompson.
Klay Thompson, perfect example, right? Nicest dude, as far as we know.
Yeah.
And that man is a monster. He's a monstrous killer.
Oh shit! Even just Tim Duncan, bro.
Yeah,
what I'm saying? Never would say anything, but
no, the nicest guy would compliment.
You wouldn't call him assassin, but when it came time for him to really put his foot on your neck, he would do it.
And he, again, a guy who was complimentary of his opponents, would be like super nice. Like even when people would tell him like, "Oh, you're too nice," to your opponent, but then the Spurs would smoke these dudes, whoever it was. Yeah. And he would shake their hands. He shook niggas' hands
all day. You know what I'm saying? And then you gotta respect it, man.
Need to give Tim Duncan that respect.
A true champion, man. A true champion.
So it's just that extra thing, and not to say that Joe Johnson is incapable or any of that. It's just that
shit, boy. Even D Wade, bro. D Wade is the illest nigga ever, and he outside of Kobe in regards to like having that killer instinct, bro, especially when it came time to win.
Well, he's the perfect example of that because he could tap into it. It wasn't just a oh, I know I'm that good and now I'm gonna win the game. It was you made me mad and I'm going to take over the game.
Yeah. So again, he knew how to
there's just something
compartmentalize
or how to use it, use his emotions because he wouldn't get overly upset and shoot them out the game or anything like that. He knew how to really kind of take over the game.
See, and that's funny too, bro, because I don't want to say I don't understand that other mindset, but every time I got mad, I just honed in, son. Because it was either niggas was talking shit or whatever. But when I was mad, I wasn't like overly emotional. I'm like, oh nah, I'm about to bust your ass right now, son. Like,
and that's what D Wade does.
Yeah,
and,
yeah. That's why D Wade
Chris Paul and
is,
people like that. But
that's why I like the Heat before LeBron got there. You know what I'm saying? No slight to Miami, but
or the Heatles, but they had something cooking there.
But see, again, you know what I'm saying? Not to really stay too much on it.
But they did get Chris Bosh, so
you know what? I kind of felt like they was gonna get him regardless, son.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, you're talking about a dude who was a highly sought after player, and they got him.
Well, honestly, it could have been. Look, it could have been D Wade and Amari, which I don't know what like if they would have filled out the right way, that probably still could have got them in shit. But who knows? But that wouldn't have been.
Well, now we know. Now they've confirmed that all three of them.
Yeah.
That they would have, even if it didn't work out in the Heat, they would have just gone somewhere else.
Yeah.
Together.
Well, like after that second year,
Yeah.
if they would have lost like against the Celtics in that 2012, they even said, Pat Riley would be like, yo, why am I paying you all this bread, son? Get the fuck out of here, son. Like, nah, I still got Udonis Haslam. That niggas maybe signed Mike Miller. You know what I'm saying? Yeah.
Fucking.
This nigga, he can't even walk.
Son Shane Battier.
Shane Battier.
Fucking Juwan Howard.
Juwan Howard definitely got like 2 chips for doing absolutely nothing.
Good for him. Not absolutely nothing.
No, boy. He didn't step foot on the court at any point.
Yeah, but he was the elder state. He was Sam Cassell. He was that type of dude. He was coaching him up on the bench, man.
Yeah, but so was Alonzo. Okay?
He was doing, but Zoe was out there though.
All right, so again, I'm gonna give it to Zoe.
Zoe was definitely out there to get that chick, but like,
you mean, all right, yeah, he became what you talking about after Zoe probably got promoted.
Yeah,
I'm saying
he became the elder statesman. Like, listen here, young blood. He's that dude, son.
Shout out to White Chocolate, by the way. You know what I'm saying? Champion.
Good for him. Yeah, he's another one. Thank God.
You know what I'm saying? Well, yeah, there's a lot of y'all that don't have chips, but we
glove, another one for all the shit he talked, man. At least he got a chips.
I mean, a chip, and again, played a pivotal part in at least one of those games.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying? I remember the glove, bro. I remember the glove on the Celtics, but I remember him and Sam Cassell.
So, to finish that point, that's what it is. And not that you need the killer instinct to win either, because there are plenty of players who didn't have that and just got busy. Anyway.
But those are people I just consider to get busy but don't have the championship aspect, son. Because like I said, like for you to really...
Or they're the second option and they need someone to feed off of to propel them.
That's what I'm saying,
David Lee is a perfect example. You know what I'm saying? Like players who were just good, but they're not the leader of the team.
If I draft you first overall, bro, once again, I have to be able to give you the rock at a pivotal point in the fourth quarter. And you got to be able to do something with it, son. Now, listen, like, again, with Braun, he may not actually take the shot when, in all actuality, in most cases, he probably should take the shot. Because at least you're going to get the star call, but at least he'll make the right play. You know what I'm saying? I'll give him that. So, and that, to me, is the killer instinct. You know what I'm saying? That's why, like, all right, it's not fair to compare LeBron to Jordan. You know what I'm saying? The comparison has always been him and Magic. And even beyond that, LeBron, when he's done, is going to have a lot of the crazy fucking numbers, son. He may.
No, they're gonna look at him in the same. That's why I get the comparison to Jordan, because his numbers are similar. And not at the same time.
No. They really aren't, because again, son.
I mean, in the sense of niggas always look at the scoring first, right? But that the fact that he's able to score all that, and be 8-8, which means you're seeing like more like closer. You're flirting with triple doubles a lot.
That's true.
That's
true.
Like people commended J Kidd, who is nowhere near the scorer or playmaker that Bron is. Or was. No. Or is. Excuse me, is. And again, that's no slight on J Kidd or none of that. He was getting busy. But
he was never that player, though.
But J Kidd ain't getting 28 you know, 10 and like 10, you know, here and there, or 9 and 9 or whatever. Like, that's not an accident. You could hate Braun all you want. I've certainly, again, like I've said, fuck Michael Jordan. I've said fuck LeBron James, both in jest and seriously.
Not to mention, like, Jordan really could have had them same numbers if he truly wanted to.
But well, that was also him, and in lieu of this documentary and research and other things, like he believed even though he had to learn to, and it took him a while, he believed in his mans in them, especially after he got Rodman. But
yeah. So I'm saying him and Rodman, they could have got that game 7 against Utah.
Going back to the Braun thing, I think the young Bucks, listen here, the young bloods will look back at Braun and see him in the way we see Jordan, because this nigga Jordan's numbers is crazy, and the numbers don't even really show that, like, as crazy as they are, like. Yeah. So Braun's numbers are crazy. So they're gonna look at Braun's numbers like, yo, this nigga was bugging.
I mean, look, with Jordan, bro, it was always turmoil.
And again, not to take anything away from Braun or anything, but the reason why he's getting his numbers besides sheer talent is because the offense is focused around him. Just like it was. I mean,
the offense and like just the whole culture of the team.
And even crazier than Jordan, like the whole offense is around him because he's playmaking. Jordan was looking to get the best shot.
Yeah.
Or just to impose his will on the defense. Like,
that's why it's like, yo, LeBron, he cultivates teams, but as soon as he leaves, the whole earth is sapped.
They don't know what to do because they didn't.
That's why
they don't ever have a complimentary second who like holds that up. So like
or they don't ever have a backup plan for this dude.
No, because on the Cleveland teams it would have been Kyrie, but he was tired of being this nigga's shadow, so he dipped.
He forced a trade. Yo, they talked about that earlier. They talked about how many people don't want to play with LeBron. Son.
No, there's something to that. Kevin Love became this weird, acting kind of strange, go into mood swings type of player. He is not the leader of the locker room, even though he's a great player. But his history is a lot of injury.
And that's what it is. It's always like the third. Like he always wants a third star, but like that third star always has to become some sort of like a role player. But it's like,
or has to be the guy that bridges them, because if there are a lot of dudes that don't,
you have to be that X factor.
Beyond that, if there are a lot of dudes that don't like being around LeBron or don't get along with him or don't mesh with him for whatever reason, there always seems to have to be this guy that's gonna be like, oh, come on, it's just Bron, it's whatever. Like, if we're with him, we'll win though. There always seems to have to be those guys, which is why Bron seems to ask for veterans, because veterans are good at doing that type of stuff.
Yeah, and that's how those teams get sunk, man.
Yeah, except for when they weren't, because they were able to click at the right time. Those Heat teams got busy because they changed their whole offense into fucking devastating fast break team that could suddenly hit you with a bunch of threes because you're waiting for these.
You stand around
waiting. You're
waiting
for the drive. Yeah, you're waiting for the penetration, and these dudes are just picking you apart like with 3-pointers. So yeah, like the point is that team, and this kind of segues nicely, like that the Heatles team still, as talent stacked as they were, didn't put dudes in the ground until Bron was like, all right, I'm the best player in the world. And this is what we're doing. I'm just gonna win now.
Yeah, and they centralized it around him, and then everything fell apart, so they put it back together.
And even still, they didn't because, as I mentioned earlier, if they don't have Chris Bosh, they don't win. Like if they hadn't rested Dwayne Wade in the way that they did, they don't win. If they hadn't. Bron hadn't stepped back. D Wade hadn't stepped back and like, all right, this is your team. Like, Bron was like, I know this is your team. He's like, yeah, but we gotta win these chips. Like, I'm trying to get these chips.
I mean, look, if they would have discovered,
because basically he's like, look, I already got my chip. Like, even if
it was gonna take that.
If this experiment doesn't work, then I'm good. You though, like, I'm not so sure. So we gotta get you your thing. So.
But that's my whole thing. Like, even with that, and we probably should wrap this up soon. But LeBron, knowing that he's coming to the Dwayne Wade's team, should like, all right, this first year, bro, it is still your team. Then we could discuss about some sort of transfer. Because for me, if they would have really ran their shit through D Wade, they would have never lost to the fucking Mavs, bro. who they should have never lost to. I'm glad they did, but they would have never lost to them. So.
Nah, Dirk wouldn't be denied to him. He's just playing.
Nah, even within that though, because you know why, son?
Because even if they were the Heat, despite not doing that, were still playing extremely well.
Yeah, they were.
And like all the things we've talked about tonight, all these series were all those games were close. They had to really claw. Like Dirk hitting, all those free throws in a row across all those games is not an accident. Like they lived on those.
2 of them games, bro.
Like,
2 of them games.
Jason Terry being like, "Yo, I gotta fucking laser this fucking tattoo off my arm if we lose."
Yeah. He looks like a dickhead. So.
I look like a fucking dickhead, and he shows up at the right
Going
time.
to the fourth quarter, like 2 of them games, bro. Them niggas
man.
was down 10 points, bro. The Heat. Okay. Matter of fact, going into all them games that they won, they were down going into the fourth.
Mm-hmm.
So that's what I'm saying. Like that's what I'm like. All right. So no, the Mavs were down and the Heat were up. Excuse me. So that means that they went like Skip Bayless always says for 4 straight fourth quarters, son. LeBron did not show up. Now, after that first game, LeBron should have easily just been like, "Yo, you know what, D? I have to defer to you, my nigga. You've been here before
against this team. On top against the same team, the same dude.
And you had an icy J. Terry, son.
So you know what to do. And
yeah, so I'm like, all right, my nigga, yeah.
And again, the reason why the Mavs won that, besides, coaching, because again, it was down to the wire. All those games were down to the wire. That whole series was down to the wire. Was Dirk hitting everything he should have hit, and the Mavs playing some stellar defense.
And Jason Terry finally showing up.
And Jason Terry showing up when he needed to.
Yeah.
Exactly when he needed to. Because they had Karan Butler. It would have been no issue.
No.
But this, and still props to Karan because at least he got a ring. So I'm happy for him.
And big ups. Big ups.
So anything else you want to talk about in The Last Dance? I feel like we should watch it again, personally. I feel like there's a lot. It's funny because the Reggie episode arguably was episode 9, right? And I didn't talk a lot about it. I feel like I have to watch it again to really maybe talk more on it. But
no, I mean, because them first couple of episodes, they outside of like what was really going on within the minutia of the Bulls in regards to like management and contracts, like we wouldn't have known that back then unless you were
in
yeah. The reality is, bro, I think I pretty much got everything I wanted from that fucking documentary. When it came to Jordan being Jordan, Pippen talking a little bit more about, I'm saying, his role in, everything. And, everybody else. And
so, wait, how crazy is that a new generation of players, and even the old generation of players, because again, we didn't know that much about contracts and details and negotiations and all that unless they told us, or like, again, you were inside. How did you feel about a top 5 player and Scottie? And granted, all stars are getting underpaid, but like Scottie Pippen getting underpaid, and then when he wanted to see the bag, they fronted on the man, son. How incredible is that? Like,
I mean, especially
is that a case of nice guys finishing last, as you mentioned before, where like, because he was just happy to be there playing basketball, getting this chicken.
Honestly, no, because he
being a champion, but
again,
he's also disgruntled, so there was something.
He demanded a trade, and like he said, he would have taken the trade if they would have gotten him traded. But I can't say I'm surprised because, like I said, like back then, like
they were trying
like you were getting jerked back then, man.
Yeah, but even
unless you were like a center or
like a star. But,
yeah. Well, I mean, no.
And again, no offense to Scottie or nothing, but
I mean, Jordan was the star. But,
they just didn't. That's what I'm saying. They didn't give him his due like that in the way that he should have gotten it.
No,
All you really hear about Scottie, again, besides this documentary, which I'm glad now he had a chance to, kind of shine in this because they made episodes about him. So props to Scottie.
Yeah, but you know what? He didn't help himself in these fucking episodes.
Oh, no, I get it. But I'm glad that they highlighted the fact that he was something more than just, that's the nigga in Jordan's shadow. Like, Jordan acknowledged again that he needed him, which is great, and all these things. Like, he was much a part of this as Michael Jordan is.
All day.
And I'm glad that they really gave him his props for it, and that he was a big part of this, and that he got to say a lot of things and whatever.
Yeah.
And it was cool to see all these dimensions of him, because mostly the image of Scotty, on the other side of Jordan being this asshole, is Scotty is this nice guy. And there were things that he did that weren't so nice or smart, or whatever. Because
you know what? They
and I don't blame him, given how they were treating him, but they weren't professional. So
there was talks of Jordan thinking that his image would be screwed up after this documentary. Now niggas is saying that Scotty doesn't like the way he was portrayed in the documentary.
Yeah, because the migraine game and stuff like that. I think it was Jamel. I think it was Jamel Hill or Robert Littell. Shout out to both of them. That said, yo, imagine today with social media how the migraine game would have been treated, because the migraine game back then was like a thing. Yeah, I remember that shit. And
I don't know, because again, we're look, again,
and even then, Scotty still kind of got off for it. But
we're in a softer society, so it would have got more exposure.
That's all. Imagine how niggas would have dogged Scotty. Like, they would have dragged him.
No. He would have had two sides of his shit, son. He would have had one side that dogged him, and you had another side that was trying to cuff him up, son.
Yeah, but no, they would have dogged Son for that, because they dogged Son back then for it.
Yeah, back then, because
so that's what I'm saying. But for the sports going public, who is dogging everybody, but like to dog Scotty, who was someone who was universally liked for the most part.
True indeed, but again,
son, that was momentous. I think that's why they put it in the documentary, because I still remember that as a young man. Not this old man that I am now.
No,
as a young man, I remember that being a thing.
My father has that game taped. Okay? I watched it. Okay,
I remember the dudes in the paper talking about it. I remember all that.
But
shit.
You know why though? You know why? Because he was on the same team as Jordan.
Yeah.
Okay. If he was on the Pacers, he would not have gotten that much heat, son.
Nah.
If he was on the Bucks, he was not.
Nah.
It was no more. Because again, son, today, especially with the knowledge that everybody has in regards to all that shit, Scotty would have got roasted, but that would have lasted for like 3 days, son. It wouldn't have lasted for 20 years. You know what I'm saying? Him quitting on the team should weigh more than that, but they talk more about.
But clearly it did last, because him quitting on the team / the migraine game, which they kind of, real slick. I see why Scotty doesn't like the portrayal. They put together kind of as an example where Scotty let the team down.
They ain't put it together, my nigga. You just the same dude who did that shit, son. Like,
but they also
that's not a portrayal, son.
I'm just saying that's how they portrayed it in the documentary. They put those things because they happened around the same time. I get it.
Actually, no, that was.
That's how they portrayed it in the documentary.
That was 3 years apart, son.
But that's how they portrayed it in the documentary.
No, actually 4 years apart, because the migraine game was in 91, and then when he quit on these niggas, that was 94.
Yeah, and niggas upset.
So that's not a portrayal. That shit you did, bro. Like, you can't get mad at niggas like for bringing that shit up.
I'm just saying that's what he's saying.
That's not a portrayal. That's what you like. A portrayal is like what other people put out, what they think for you. That's the truth, my nigga. That's something. Those were your actions, son.
Yeah, but of course he's gonna say it's a portrayal because it's a documentary.
No, because he's Scotty and he's.
But again, the word we always go back to, perception.
Perception. Niggas hate Jordan, and they like Scotty.
And they love Scotty.
Yeah, niggas hate Jordan but hate Scotty. Now niggas liking Jordan more because they understand why he did what he did. And now they're looking at Scotty like, boy,
what's up with you?
Like, what up with you, son? Like, but
again, Scotty, to his credit, which some of these people I haven't seen acknowledged on Twitter and elsewhere, he managed to get his shit together enough for them to win, not only win that chip, but to fucking come together and fucking do the thing.
Yeah.
There's so many. It could have been another diva season from another diva player who we've seen many of in the years since in various sports.
Watch that.
So,
I'm not mad at Scotty for doing anything he did, son.
I'm not mad at Scotty for being
because at the end of the day,
like, you're talking about a dude who's a pivotal piece of your dynasty, and you're underpaying him.
And he got some of that Jordan venom when Jordan left, and he understood what Jordan was going through, son.
And he also understood that ownership was not gonna.
Yeah, you jerking me just like you jerk this nigga. That's
not
why
even jerking. Like, yo, you're not paying me. Not only are you underpaying me, and you're not appreciating my value, but you're expecting me to lead the team like this nigga did. And yeah, I'm capable of that. But you're expecting me to lead the team like this nigga did and treat me like garbage? Word?
Yes. All right. Yes.
Actually,
no. Because
after I already won you championships, word. And yeah, again, I know
that's a bad defense because yes, after you quit on a nigga and like you want to act like Jordan, my nigga, come out on the court and take that last shot.
Again,
son.
I get the corporate organizational tact of
that's not organization, bro. We talking about team shit, my nigga. Like if I'm on the court with this man, if you want to get paid like Jordan, stay on the court and take the last shot like Jordan.
Well, that's why I get why his teammates were upset about that. Who was that? BJ that said
all of them.
All of them.
All of them. Bill Cartwright gave him a speech about
all
the
of
shit.
them were still even when they're still mad about that game.
Yes.
You're talking about niggas who were 6-time champions, 3 to 6-time champions,
and
they're still mad about that shit.
No, bro, don't talk to me nothing about the upper office, my nigga. We on the court together, son. All right, now whatever you going through with them, that's you, boy. But we out here trying to win this fucking game, and you quit on me? No, fuck you, son. Really. That's why Phil Jackson said that. You in the game? No, fuck you. Put this dude in here, son. And that's why Scotty will always be on the level that he's on, son. And unfortunately, he has something to do with that, son. That's not perception. It's not some.
Well, that's why I bring up perception, because he seems to want to remain the good guy. And the one who's
that's why he wants to call it a portrayal when all niggas did was show the shit that he did, son, that people forgot about. Or people just flat out didn't. I didn't know about him quitting back then, son.
No, I only knew about the migraine game.
Yeah, no, I didn't know. So
I didn't know about the quitting game.
And again, my perception of Scotty hasn't changed, but at the same time, boy, don't get mad at niggas looking at you the way they look at you when you did the shit you did, son.
That's still my guy. It was, you don't have the right to get mad. One, you agreed. This thing. So I'm sure you knew, because you're not a dumb guy.
And nobody made anything up about you, bro.
You knew things that were going to be said about you. That
all he did was present the shit that was out there about you already, my dude. And you forgot that niggas knew shit about you.
It's been a long time. I get it.
Yeah.
At least with Jordan, he just faced it. He's just like, whatever it is they brought to him, he just talked to it.
So
and,
be it, son.
And
He's been hearing the same shit for like 20 years.
That's the thing I appreciated about it. I appreciated that he didn't really front, know. And who knows what he said that they edited out, and who knows what was going on. And I'm sure there are plenty of things that
even if they did, bro, they covered all fucking angles of what you wanted to see, man.
There was no scene that I can recall of Jordan saying, "I don't want to answer that," or "I don't want to talk about that."
The only shit was him just turning up.
Of his father, son. Even really emotional shit. Chuck Daly dying.
Yeah.
All these things. People he was close to. That him, winning the chip and they're fucking crying. Which we've never seen before. Like on the floor of the locker room.
He never even talked about Steve Kerr and his pops getting killed over fucking seas. So.
Yeah, you had to know that. Separately. The only reason I knew about that is because I had happened to read that story about Steve Kerr because when he had become coach, because of how crazy his life story is,
which it is, bro,
which is really crazy. Like they told it, and that's when I read it, and then he became coach of the Warriors and shit. And I was like, damn, Steve Kerr is that dude, because I knew about the Michael Jordan punching him story and how tough he was or whatever, but and how good he was in the Spurs and all that, but for me, he was like, consummate white boy gunner. Like, I didn't know he had all these things happen to him. He had all this personality. He makes all these corny jokes. Like, he's a really cool guy.
Yeah, he is, though.
Especially for a guy who, again, had his father basically assassinated.
Shot in the head overseas.
Over some political shit.
And all the man was doing was just really working for an overseas college or university.
Yeah, he wanted there to be like a togetherness between the two countries.
What was that?
Israel.
No, it was fucking
Israel?
No. Liberia?
Yes.
Liberia.
Yeah, it sounds more right.
Yeah.
But yeah,
Lebanon. Lebanon. Yeah, Lebanon. Wherever Drake's people.
Drake's people. So
because I know the Lebanese. Yeah, it was dumb.
Wherever Breonna Leon, shout out to Breonna Leon is from. So, that's what his pops wanted. His pops just wanted a place where people get their education and, have a kind of a bridge between countries and
being liberal in the 80s, 1984 from
overseas. Yes, I'm saying overseas no less. A guy who was just an educator and clearly gave Steve Kerr a lot of these moral sense of values and all these things that he holds dear. Because you see Steve Kerr trying to, like, I don't want to say clowning the president, but getting at the president and getting at things that he knows is wrong and is not really, because you know other coaches don't really say as much as he does. Besides, no, there's really no one really. Maybe Doc Rivers.
Even Steve, he'll talk about shit, but he'll be like, you know what, if he doesn't really have a full grasp of like what the true details in the story are or is, he'd be like, you know what, I'm gonna put that on pause. I'm gonna talk about it till I get more info on it. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, but he'll say something.
Yeah,
it's a lot of the coaches will just like, nah, because my organization will come down on me if I say anything. So shout out to him. But like you wouldn't have known about things like that. People who didn't watch the Dennis Rodman 30 for 30, if they hadn't, wouldn't have known all these things about Dennis. Wrestling fans who may have forgotten that he was even in WCW or any of that, who knew or didn't even know who he was.
That was a fun summer.
It was great. All types of things like.
See, I forgot. I thought that was actually 9/7, but that was the same summer as Leno, son.
It was. It was a saga. That's when NWO.
And shout out to DDP, man.
NWO was like at this weird peak like then, basically. But
weird peak. They've never come back from.
No, that's when they started to fall after that. Because that's when after that everyone was in the NWO. And then the Wolfpack came,
NWO,
LWO, all that shit came.
BWO.
BWO precedes, if I'm not mistaken, the Wolfpack and all those.
No, it does. BWO was definitely
the first. It's the first offshoot. I still want a BWO shirt.
Shout out to Nova, man.
Nova and the Blue Meanie, son, who got punched in the face by Bradshaw.
Yeah,
you should have fucked Bradshaw, Blue Meanie.
Should have.
I get it. You want to be professional. I get it because Bradshaw is Vince McMahon's guy. You don't get any trouble. So I don't know. Talking about the Blue Meanie means I think we should stop here. Is there anything else? I feel like I should watch this shit again. Not all 10 seasons are out. You want to do a retrospective maybe because these are kind of like our first reactions to this.
I mean, like I said, like definitely with the first 2 episodes where it was Jordan and Pip. You know what I'm saying? I appreciate that, especially when it came to Pippen and what he was going through, especially like those last, I guess, 2 seasons. I mean, the Rodman shit, the best part of that was obviously Carmen Electra. 5 and 6, those.
She looks so good still.
Shout out to Carmen Electra.
Shout out to Carmen Electra.
5 and 6. Was that what was that? That was the Sun shit?
I believe so, yeah.
Cause 7 and 8 was the Sonics.
Yeah.
All right, so yeah.
Yeah, because the first couple was early Jordan and early Pippen.
Yeah. Early Jordan. I mean, it was going back and forth between Jordan and Pippen and what they was going through just with the franchise.
Disagreements with franchise and management and shit.
And 3 and 4 was strictly Rodman. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, like was 5 and 6, yeah. 7 and 8, those are cool with the whole the Sonics and all that. No, actually, no. 7 and 8 was your man BJ Armstrong. He had a lot to do with
and
that.
The 45 year.
Yeah, especially part 8. Yeah. When you was talking this shit and Jordan's like, BJ should have known better. And he should have. Your man Reggie claiming that he really felt like he was going to end Jordan's career.
They wanted it, man. That's one thing this thing reminded me about. The Pacers really wanted it. But
again, watching that series, I knew that. But again, at no point in my young adolescent mind did I ever think that Reggie Miller was going to beat Michael Jordan, son. Until this day, at 33, I still would not believe that, son. I'm saying it wasn't going to happen.
So. Hey, man, he'll always have 8 and 8, right? 8 points in 8 seconds. So.
I mean, look, there's already a 30
Hey, he got a 30 for 30 about him. Yeah,
and that's the best he could do. Son.
P. Ewing, he got a 30 for 30 about him.
Oh, well, actually, technically he does. It's that one and the one about the Big East, but that's neither here nor there.
That doesn't count.
I mean, hopefully they come out with one with. Well, you know what? No, it's 3. Because you know why? The Knicks are part of that fucking that OJ one.
You're reaching a little bit.
That was during the finals in '94, son. Of course, when the Knicks is in the final, that's when OJ, whatever, son. But that was a newscast during the fucking finals as this man was being chased, quote unquote, in the white Bronco, while the Knicks were trying to pursue a championship while Jordan was, taking his swings. Okay, welcome to the life of being a Knicks fan. Okay,
catastrophe after catastrophe. Hey, at least you got rings, man.
I was not alive for those. Episodes 9 and 10 were spicy.
Yeah, it was the Reggie episode was 9.
And yeah, the last one was a combination of a couple of different things.
The food poisoning game, the dread food / flu game.
I mean, I still do kind of believe that somebody in Utah tried to poison Jordan. Son.
Me too.
If
I, as a young lad, hated Jordan as much,
especially after he worked you the year prior,
I get you. I totally.
Actually, no, the flu game was in 9-7.
Yeah,
all right. So yeah.
I believe that. I totally believe, even if that Pizza Hut, since that owner has been interviewed or that delivery person has been interviewed.
Nah, it wasn't. Was it Pizza Hut?
That's what they said. That's what they said in the interview. Apparently, whatever pizza it was, even if they had poisoned the pizza after they got it from Pizza Hut or wherever they got it from, I believe that someone in Utah hated Jordan enough to.
Yeah, they wanted that chip.
I believe it. They wanted that championship so bad, and they knew that taking Jordan out was the key.
Yeah. And the reality is, bro, I mean, I've never been to Salt Lake City or Utah, but I'm quite sure at least 10 people knew that Michael Jordan was ordering the pizza at that time, at that hour of the night during the fucking finals, okay?
Yeah, because I'm sure they knew where he was staying and they knew all that.
Yeah, like, come on, son. They knew the assumed name he was staying under, all right? But, they tried to do it, and he still got spanked out. So, and I guess that's will.
So yeah, they let that be a lesson to y'all folks. You can. Some people, we talked about the killer instinct a little while ago. Some people you could try to poison them.
Yeah.
Stab them and beat them and
don't matter.
Throw them in the frozen river like the Russians did to Rasputin when they tried to kill him.
They're still here.
They're still out here, at least for a certain amount of time. And here you go, Jordan smoking cigars, saying basically "fuck y'all niggas" with this documentary.
Yeah, you see walking, drinking his tequila,
and smoking his cigars. So yeah, that was our I don't want to call it retrospective because 9 and 10 just came out. I feel like I have to watch these again for sure to get more out of it, especially since I didn't know the fucking Sandman. I didn't notice the Sandman in episode 9, right? That was celebrating Jordan's chip, or 10. That was 10, episode 10.
Shout out to the Sandman. That was 9-8.
Oh my god, it was so good. That was my favorite thing, but I had to find out about it later. Like, other eagle-eyed nerds spotted it.
Yeah, man. It's definitely mad little treasures and secret gems in that we. As you watch it more, you'll, you know what I'm saying.
And also when I have a better stream of it, because watch ESPN. Y'all try to be like, all right, well, don't stream it illegally, and then the stream don't fucking work that great.
No, I mean, we Gucci because they've officially put all episodes on the ESPN app. So,
well, ESPN Plus, get your shit together because I'm trying to watch that again. You know what I'm saying?
No, they on. But yeah, I guess that's where we'll wrap it up, son.
All right, so this was Brother Showtime and the one of many Liquid Snake.
You know what I'm saying?
Just Liquid a hand forms on another nigga who live in East Williamsburg, retired from the Metal Gear Solid life.
Man, Liquid Swords.
Liquid Swords, Risen and Jizza.
You know what I'm saying?
We'll talk to you niggas soon. I don't know what our next episode is going to be about. I still kind of want to do a wrestling episode. Hopefully we will get Brother Steven Jackson. I mean, you don't know this from our Lost tapes, but he was a alumnus of our show and had many things to say about wrestling. Also,
the legitimate brother.
Yeah,
they're down south right now, so we'll see what we can do about that. But
yeah, we're trying to fix our guest situation with Zoom or House Party or something like that.
Yes.
Maybe we can get some long distance casts going, and
still trying to work on the sexy voices.
Definitely sexy voices on the quiet storm.
You know what I'm saying?
We don't have a thunderclap effect. We need some sounds on this
Quiet
shit.
splash.
We need to up our production value on these things. But yeah, I guess let us know in the comments, what would you like to hear us talk about? Like I said, I think we should do a wrestling episode soon, given the climate of the thing we shouldn't be talking about, but are talking about anyway. That keeps us inside our houses, because it has affected wrestling in a very unique way, and I think is worth talking about.
Part of the mask gang.
We didn't really get to talk about it on our last quarantine episode, so I think we should talk to that. And there's plenty to run our mouths about. This is
We ain't got
these
nothing
are
else
some
to do,
strange.
folks.
Yeah. No one has anything else to do, so we get to talk even more shit than usual.
I mean,
And I guess we'll leave it at that. We'll talk to you next time on the Perfect Plex podcast.
We've
that kind of rolls off the tongue. I'm glad we changed our name there.
we plex the perfect. You know what I'm saying? Stand by for those recipes.
Word. Slapping gums into your faces since 1984, niggas.
You know what I'm saying? Mad turkey slices.
Peace.